Pleasure to introduce everybody to Edward J. Rodriguez. He is the CEO of BPN Capital Group, which is a Miami, Florida-based multi-service DeFi powered by blockchain technology. Mr. Rodriguez is a serial entrepreneur with 13 years of professional experience. He founded multiple companies, including Blast Books, a social media marketplace for college students to buy and sell college textbooks for free, and B Pro Commercial Finance, a commercial financing firm. Edward, welcome to the Moneyshow platform. The floor is yours, sir.
Thank you for having me. So as he just mentioned, you learn a little bit about me. I used to do quantitative risk analysis, and through that experience, I learned a lot of the structures that billionaires and funds that have billions under management use today to be able to multiply their money. And it's been long overdue for me to actually bring those type of structures into the hands of accredited investors and small family offices and funds that don't have billions of dollars under management. The first thing I want to start with is I want to make a distinction between blockchain and crypto. So I like to give the analogy of Yahoo and the internet back in the early 90s. You see, even though Yahoo was one of the best case uses for the internet back then, Yahoo was not the internet. It was just a platform that operated within the internet. It's exactly the same thing between cryptos and blockchain. Cryptos, including Bitcoin, are a platform that operates on top of blockchain. That's about it. So blockchain can be used for many use cases, and one of our firm's objectives is exactly to do that, to be able to bring more case uses to blockchain. And I emphasize the word security because there is a differentiation between, there's a big difference between crypto crypto tokens and security tokens. So I'll give you an example very briefly. The BPN token is a crypto token. You see, it's a utility token. And we created the BPN token so people can buy the token to buy into our services, to use it as a utility. In the other end, the security token is a security because it's most of our structures will be done through Regulation D and will be registered with the SEC and with FINRA. We will literally apply for an exception from filing through either structure in Regulation D or Regulation C, and in some of them Regulation A. Our last structure is going to be what I call the billionaire advantage structure. So back when I was a quant, we used to work with many groups that had billions under management. And in the construction side, they will tell us, well, we want at least 100% of our money on day one. We don't want to wait. We're not willing to actually play in any structure that does not give us a 100% return on day one. And the structure's old. It's not new. I didn't come up with it. It's been around for the past 50 years. It's just very little people know about it because it's a thing that quants have access to because we are the ones that do the risk analysis. And mainly some of these large firms that have billions under management are the one that can deploy that type of capital so they can get the huge advantage. So let me give you the example. This is a $665 million construction project down in downtown Miami. The land was purchased in 2016 for $112.5 million. And it will cost $665 million to build and develop the tower. The developer is a world-class developer that has been around for over 30 years and has built many structures in the Miami skyline and Brazil, France, Colombia, and other types of the world. His last tower in Miami is called 1000 Museum. You can go look at it and see what type of development it will be that you will have access to come in without having to have access to a lot of capital. So what is the billionaire structure? Well, we'll take 25%. We're doing a equity piece where you buy tokens at a valuation of $665 million, which is the cost to build, at 20%, right? 20% of what it costs to build will be the equity. The same day you buy that token, pretty much the equity piece owns 40% of the whole project. So you come in at 20% of the cost to build at 665 million, but the SPV, the special purpose vehicle that owns the structure, owns 40% of the whole project. That means you just made 100% return on your money based on you came in at 20%, the structure owns 40%. Based on the amount of tokens, your token came in at 20, and he owns a representation of the whole project of 40%. At the same time, we already have a base piece put together at about 25% for the structure, 25% of the cost. That equals 40%, 45% of how much it costs to build the project. And we have senior debt at 55%. That equals 100% on how much it costs to build. Now, it costs $665 million to build this project. The reason billionaires like to play themselves within this structure is, let's take the worst scenario for a second. Let's look at the worst scenario for a second. So real estate crash, the real estate market crash, and the property goes 50%, loses 50% of value. You just broke even. It doesn't matter to you. Now, the bank, obviously, that put in 55%, and the PACE piece, Greenworks, which is the lender that we are currently working with, and we have a commitment from them on this structure, obviously are going to get more affected because they're in one at 25%, the other one at 55%, and there is debt. They don't have the upside that you have. You came in with equity at 20%, and you hold and own 40% of the structure. The market crash, you own 40% of the structure, and you just broke even, right? Now let's look at the best scenario, which is more likely to happen in this structure. Now the project is done, and it's the same thing with the Northwest Biofuel project. Now the real estate project is done, and it costs $665 million to build. It's a condo hotel with a small office piece that is currently valued at $1.1 billion after project completion. You own 40% of a project that is now worth $1.1 billion after completion. So not only do you make 100% of your money day one, when you came into the structure, because you came in at 20% on a valuation of 665, which is the cost to build. Now you actually are 40% owner of a structure that's worth 1.1 billion. That's the billionaire structure. And you will be able to have access to it without having to have billions of dollars under management. Why is it that before only billionaires had access to this structure? Well, if you look at the structure without what I just gave you, one firm used to be the one that came in with that 20%, and that 20% represents about $145 million. You see, not everyone has $145 million laying around to put into one of these structures. Yes, the reward is fantastic. You're looking at a 40% ownership on a structure that has huge upside. Not only are you doubling your money day one when you come in, you are also have a huge upside in the sense of when the project is completed, your money appreciates another 70%. Okay. So that's 170%. And if you don't want to hold the token after a year, before you had to hold, okay, you put in that 145 as a single firm, regularly you were locked. You had to hold until the project completion for you to literally take out your position. Here, you're not locked. After 12 months, you can trade that security token as you wish. Okay. One of the biggest things blockchain solves is transparency. All of our structures are being done on blockchain. And you will be able, everything is put on a public ledger. So if token holder X is selling his tokens X price, it's a public ledger. It's not a private transaction. You'll be able to look at it on the public ledger. And at the same time, you have the advantage of the fractional ownership. You see, you don't have to come in with $1 million. You don't have to come in with $100,000. You can come into any of these structures with as little as $25,000. There are some structures that you're going to be able to come in even with $5,000, because again, what we want to bring in is what we're going to bring in and give access to the accredited investors and the small family offices and funds that don't have billions of dollars under management. Is not only do we want you to diversify, but at the same time give you the opportunity to come in to structures with rewards that were reserved for the private boys club back in the day. And it took time for us to get to where we're at. I would love for all of you to go to our website, www.bpncapitalgroup.io. See who we are, right? See who we are, see our backgrounds. I call our group the Avengers of Business. It took me about a year to put the group together. I literally spoke to over 300 people to actually select the chosen few that today are part of these structures. And again, see who we are, see what we have done in the past. And we have top executives from some of the companies that we all know and we all respect. Aside from this, on our structures, you have the advantage of, do you want to sell 100% of your position after 12 months, or you want to sell 5%? You see, before, that was one of the biggest problems we had in the capital markets and in the securities market. Sometimes you needed to sell your whole position to be able to sell. There are penalties involved with selling your positions. Also, if you have not wait the seasoning period, or if you have not allowed the position to mature. We are also doing commercial mortgage-backed securities on blockchain, similar to how the banks underwrite CMBS loans. And we have a structures pretty much. Today, we have $2.7 billion dollars worth of structures that we have already have signed contracts with large firms that we have access to and that we have worked with in the past, that we have signed and executed contracts with, and we're going to be putting out those structures. Give you a seat at the boys club to allow you to pretty much, even though you don't have the capital that they have, you will have the same rewards, you see? And I think it's long overdue that this needed to happen. I have been honored to share stage with many of the large families when it comes to speak in public, Vanderbilt family, the Rockefeller family. And majority of times, great, they go in, they will say, hey, my grandfather created such and such and such thing 100 years ago. And thanks to that, our family has been enjoying generational wealth. And we all know that already, right? So I always said, gosh, I wish they would say, how did they get there? How have they been able to keep their generational wealth for all these years? And the reality is, this structures we're sharing is part of that. Have they ever come out and publicly say it? No. Would they ever do? God knows. But I can tell you, that is one of BPN's mission. We want to give you that opportunity and allow you to participate within our structures. And I will say, keep an eye out for all the other structures we're going to have in the future. We have under review $14 billion worth of transactions that we are doing quant analysis on. Every single structure we touch will have a quant analysis. Aside from that, we are also hiring an outside firm to do their own. So you, the investor, will have access to that secondary firm that's totally attached from us. So you could see their risk analysis and how they are looking at the same risk analysis we accomplish.